How's it going, everybody? Rob here, back with another video. And you know what? I figured I'd do something interesting. Now, periodically, we have responded to individuals like K-Nun in the past, and I wanted to look at some of their community posts and just kind of read through them because, again, this has been interesting, to say the least. So, first off, let's talk about, let's look at this one. Plane crashes to avoid dog. Might sound like the title of an Onion article, but no, this is very real. That is the title of at I Hate Dogs last video. It refers to an actual event that took place. These people are a danger to self and others, all because of their inexplicable adoration for these lowly creatures we call dogs. Something to think about. Out of curiosity, is this actually like a video? Sadly, this individual doesn't even let me see. It's taking a minute because if it's just a link to the channel, in fact, while I'm waiting for the guy crashes plane to avoid dog. Plane crash in Nanwalki, Alaska, which resulted in the deaths of the pilot and the passenger, may have been caused by the pilot trying to avoid a dog on the runway. Transportation Safety Board is investigating the incident and believes the pilot made a go-around maneuver to avoid the animal, but lost control of the aircraft. So there's one instances where that happened. So Alaska. I mean, let's be fair here. I mean, in the event, I mean, it ultimately that's tragic. But let's say you're driving a car. Like, do you try to avoid an animal when you're driving? Like, if a freaking let's say, for instance, if a deer, runs in front of your car, are you just going to, just floor it and hit the dog or hit the deer? Or are you going to try to maneuver out of the way? What if you see like a cat or another animal out of the wilderness? I mean, instinctually, that's usually our notion, is to try to avoid the obstacle. Now, again, granted, what happened with that individual and the passengers is tragic, but overall, I mean, to an extent, it just goes to show that they have to a degree, a bit of empathy, not just for humans, but for animals as well. Which I think it goes to show that for quite a few of you on this platform, from this, the radicals of the dog-free community, sorely lack. So looking at another one, nutters are beyond psychotic. I love the fact that whenever they can't win an argument with individuals, or at least they can't get them to change their minds, they just call them nutters. Like, they use some kind of slur in order to, dehumanize the individuals that speak against them. Dog nutters are beyond psychotic. They're constantly admitting they at least fantasize about ending a human being's life over a damn dog. You know what? I'm going to say this to to kind of play your little card. When did anybody say that? Like, no, really, I'm pulling that one out of the bag. When did anybody say that they fantasize about killing humans over dogs? I'm genuinely curious. Unless it's like some kind of psycho, but at the same time, it's like, dude, those people are psychotic anyways. But regardless, I've done videos illustrating this a few times already. Okay. But I kind of want to do a deep dive on this depraved aspect of dog culture. The value of human life has never been lower. This is very alarming. Dog people are not the good guys. Never said I was. I mean, people like myself and many others never said we were. We're just people. And never will be. Yeah, and you guys will never be good people either. Doesn't matter if they made up the majority or who is on their side. They are vile and antisocial as fuck. Are we sure we're not talking about you guys? Like, seriously? From what it sounds like? Like, really? No joke? Going on to the next post. Thinking of doing a punk rock and metal sounding anti-dog album. I hadn't planned on making any more, but I have a couple of ideas. You know, I have to ask, like, because I kind of illustrated it in a previous video, but, you know, you do realize this is the definition of obsession, right? Like, seriously? Like, no joke? More dog lunacy. I rescued this precious dog. So here's an image. I rescued this precious dog on the road this morning. I'm assuming on the road. I opened my door and she jumped in. She has a pink collar but no tags. I took her to animal control. Someone needs to find her. So how's that like I'm kind of curious. Why was that lunacy? You know, in a sense, you see a dog in the middle of the, I want to say in the middle of the road or like in the forest area. I'm going to assume, and I'm kind of wondering what this text was. I know you blurred it out, but in the middle, I would have to say in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a park, whatever. But it's like, at the very least, the individual took them to animal control so they can deal with it. So I don't really see the issue. So, okay, next one. It's already out of hand. Way out of hand. Stray dogs are a menace. They shouldn't have any special considerations or social legal protections. I don't think they do. Besides being caught and, either, being rehomed or, for the most part, being euthanized. Why is the world so compromised on this issue? It is obvious that dogs are not our friends. Okay. It's not just strays that cause problems, as we know, but this is something that should be fairly evident to any good thinking person. Oh no, it's evident to, sane people, but not to you guys. Especially when it comes down to like certain areas that are heavily affected by stray dogs. But anyways, stray dogs are dangerous to humans and animal life. The presence of dogs causes a substantial likelihood of death or serious injury to individuals and to non-human animals as well. We're well aware of the effects of free-roaming pet dogs and feral dogs alike on livestock animals, as an example. It's funny that they kind of make comments like this because, I continually have to beg the question, what is their end goal? Like, how would they implement their end goal to make this a dog-free community? Again, in the event that, let's say, they get their wish, there's a bill that passes and dogs are removed from society. The first place they're going to go is they're either going to be cold, or more likely they're going to be, put into the wilderness. Which case, with how many dogs there are in the population, and just throwing them out in there, almost the entire ecosystem for our forest areas are going to be so out of whack. And for the most part, those dogs are either going to kill the smaller dogs or end up just feeding off of the wildlife there. So a lot of the wildlife that we would see, more than likely, will be gone. So something to think about. But as I've said before many, many, many times over, like, in terms of some of these situations, we need to look at it by case basis, not as a whole. But anyways, do the vulgar dog apologies care? Governments around the world should at least take care of the stray menace. It would be incredibly easy. How so? I'm very curious. And it's, again, I go back to this question again, time and time again, because I've asked it clearly in a video, how would this be implemented? And clearly, no answer whatsoever. Just, we need to get rid of dogs. We need to get rid of dogs. No. That you need a little bit more than that. How do we implement it? Oh, we just do. No. How do we do it? We just do. No. It is a matter of public health and safety. Where this is perhaps most readily apparent is in nations absolutely plagued by the presence of stray dogs, where it's on every street. They are objectively vermin of a dangerous variety. I would say that, sadly, again, because we've talked about this with the rabies videos, it seems like the dog populations, or at least the stray populations, are more prominent in areas like Asia and in Africa. And that's mainly due to less of an implication to, or I want to say a program to, deal with the dogs over there. But at the same time, especially when it comes down to rabies, healthcare, as well as accessibility to the rabies vaccine, are slim, to say the least. But anyways, continuing. But they show a picture. This stray dog issue needs sensible attention and focus to address it before it goes out of hand. So, stray dogs maul 5-year-old to death. Boy 11 fighting for life after... I feel like this is photoshopped. I feel like this is a Photoshop image. Because you have two stories back to back about dogs. So, alright. Let's do another one. At KNUN Official and on various other anti-dog channels, we are taking a firm and unapologetic stance against the dangerous and growing dog culture around us. A phenomenon that openly encourages misanthropy, spreads misinformation about dangerous beasts. Are you sure about that? And their effects upon society, and fuels mass ignorance. Not really. I mean, again, granted, a lot of us understand the issues, but at the same time, we are, in a sense, can acknowledge that in terms of dogs, how should I put this? How should I put this without being too offensive? We don't hide from the issue, or we don't try to remove it. Or or at least no, that's not the best way to put it, but overall, our solution isn't just to be, dog free. We acknowledge that there are dogs that exist that are not the best, or in a sense aggressive, but at the same time we address that by, again, a case by case basis. None of you will actually consider. But anyways, anyone who regurgitates this mainstream pro-dog rhetoric, who casually uses the words "I hate humans," when did anybody say that? I'm very curious. Or who references murderous intent towards people in public forums. Oh, you mean like how some of your members of your community went out of their way to basically brandish weapons and threaten people that talked against them? Or how about the fact that a few of them, and I've done videos on these people in general, few of these people were fans of fucking mass shooters. So, in terms of like who is, mentally unstable in terms of communities, let's be honest here. I'm pretty sure some of them fall into your category of, on your side of the spectrum. But anyways, in shared memes or via comments, is complicit in a border campaign of violence and dehumanization toward human beings. And it is demonstrable the presence of dogs is an anathema to public health and social cohesion. Sure they are. There are no false narratives being pushed about pit bulls, aside from those that originate from pit peddlers and propagandists themselves. Defenders of humans and the natural, that's, canine aversion, already did an expose on the pit bull lobby. None of that is fabricated. I'm pretty sure some probably is, but regardless of that. Nor are the cases on the Pit Bull Victim Awareness channel. These are real-world examples of why bully breeds, various closely related to dog breeds, are incredibly dangerous. Truth spreading and accurate reporting is not fear-mongering. No, what you're doing is fear-mongering. Truth spreading, I think, in a sense, is only in your own mind. Accuracy, I think, is just being dishonest. In terms of your reporting, there is no media distortion. The facts matter. Your facts matter, and so does the truth. We will not allow propaganda to be unchecked, hence why our channels exist. No, I think ultimately it's because you have a genuine fear of these animals, and you've allowed... It's not even... At this point, it's not even about looking and considering how much you focus on these... Again, granted, you can focus on things, but I feel that when you're creating a channel, there are other things you can focus on. I mean, I periodically, again, talk about the dog stuff. Overall, I do other content as well, reacting to other people, so on and so on. But I feel that with individuals just focusing on one thing and focusing on one topic, it, in a sense, kind of shows a bit of an obsession. And in the event that, let's say, like, again, for instance, where you have individuals that are afraid of dogs, who are uncomfortable with dogs, you'd think that the best course of action would be to avoid the topic. But instead, these people, I would have to guess, just strain their mental capacity in terms of dealing, even going as far as to making videos on this thing, on dogs in general, and at that point, not even being generous about it, where, to an extent where, again, lumping everyone together, using slurs to try to dehumanize people. It's very clear that these people have an obsession and they don't care whether or not they're right or wrong. They will just continue to peddle some of their fear-mongering. Alright, this isn't just about dogs. It clearly is, considering the content. It is about the kind of society that we want to live in. The presence of dogs is not harmless. It results in innumerable real-world occurrences involving a slew of injustices and ignites which people who never chose the presence of dogs presently cannot opt out of. We will continue to give dog culture victims a voice. Fuck the advocates for those that objectively cause great social harm. So I'm going to say to the individuals, so I think one of the dumbest things is the fact that, when it comes down to some of the quote-unquote activists, in terms of, like, people taking pictures of their dogs, people, showcasing dog videos. I mean, granted, I will say sometimes it's weird, but overall, just feels like it's nothing, really. It really is. I think the biggest issues are the fact that, dog attacks. Or deaths, or deaths or attacks that involve dogs. I think that is the main focus, and should be the main focus. Overall, pinpointing instead of like just lumping everybody in one group, pinpointing where the issues lie. I think if these people wanted to be genuinely honest about these animals, because again, if we're talking about freaking, like, I think the funniest thing is like, well, these dogs, they eat their poop or something like that. Like, dude, do you guys realize how fucking dirty humans are? Like, we as humans, especially with the homeless populations, your biggest concern is dog feces or barking, but in public, people are fucking noisy. People are loud. Overall. And I know people are be like, "Oh, you don't." No. I'm looking at obvious fucking human nature. We're loud. We're noisy. Overall, in terms of like our living conditions, when you have people like hoarders that basically will hoard garbage in their homes, making it uninhabitable. Yes, granted, there are issues with dogs, but I'm not gonna lie and claim that, and I'm going to use this again, because this is exactly how these people act. I'm not going to lie to myself and claim that, all dogs are evil, all dogs are the problem, all dogs are the root of all evil. If I see an issue with a dog, or at least a dog attack, I'm going to be looking at that particular case. Be like, okay, that's the dog owner, okay, I'm going to report on that. Of this individual situation. I'm not going to just showcase animals being attacked. I'm not going to freaking continuously showcase violent imagery. If I'm going to report on something, I'll look at the article, I'll report it, and that's it. I'm not going to use that as oh, this is the reason why dogs don't exist, or shouldn't exist. But it's like, dude, there are better ways to do it. How for these particular channels, there are better ways that they can be doing it, and they're not doing it. They could, again, ultimately, and I know I keep repeating myself, I'm sorry, but this is the way it is. This is how it, honestly should be. If you want effective reporting, if you want people to get on your side, then instead of trying to shame everybody, focus on the actual issues. Report on report of a dog attack. Okay, report on that. Report on the owner. That's it. Issues of people, if singular individuals causing problems in stores, okay, report on that. Don't lump everyone together, because again, it just goes to show that with these individuals, it's clear that they don't like dogs. It's clear that they hate them. It's clear that they fear them. But honestly, It's unhealthy the way they go about this, where they lump everyone together. They treat every person who either likes dogs or owns dogs or will talk against them about how they do things as dog nutters, dehumanizing people because they don't want to listen of or have any form of difference of opinion. So overall, this is continuously showing the mental decline of some of these individuals. But anyway, I think for now I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it if you guys can. Please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care. And I'll see you guys next video.